Welcome, welcome, welcome to the pod you're listening to. What the reality with me, Kasha Roberts. I am back from a nice hiatus, not the hiatus Ariana Grande is about to take, but I am back from my week vacation. I went to Detroit for my birthday, and I don't know. I haven't tapped into that true spirit of working on my birthday. I took off of my corporate job for my birthday. I don't think I'll ever reach a point in adulthood where I want to genuinely work on my birthday. And that's honestly okay. So we went to Detroit. We had us a nice little weekend trip. Honestly, Detroit will see me again. I kind of liked the culture. It's honestly giving Cleveland times five. I'm not going to give it 10 because I think anything that's 10 by Cleveland would be Chicago. I'm going to give Detroit a times five. Their downtown is a lot better than downtown Cleveland. It's a lot more progressive. And I was able to visit the Lit Bar. I think I talked about this on my last episode, how excited I was to visit the Lit Bar in person. Founder, I feel like her name's Melissa. I've done like a ton of research on her, and I just know her history of being a finance girl, working on Wall Street in New York City, and then literally hating her job. Hating her job. And, she just started taking orders from Black women in the corporate world, and she started doing her own thing, making lipsticks in her bathroom. She ends up going on Shark Tank. Obviously, you know how Shark Tank does. They deny the Black folk, not all the Black folk, but mostly the Black folk. They're like, we don't know how good this idea is, because she wanted to make vibrant lip colors for Black women. She was making blues, greens, yellow. Obviously her brand has evolved more than just that. Like, I don't even think she sells blue lipstick anymore. And if she does, it's like the original stuff on her site. It's not at the flagship store, which I was at. So her story just means so much to me, because this is this girl that was working in corporate America, decided she hated it, moved back home to Detroit, opened up a flagship store once her brand, or once it was more lucrative for her to be making lipsticks in her apartment in New York City than it was clocking into her job on Wall Street in finance. So I went to the flagship store. I'm super excited. I'm actually editing a TikTok right now about my experience, and just the vibes, the energy. It was downtown. It's actually right next to Savage X Fenty in downtown Detroit, which was honestly like down the street from Gucci. I'm like, they have a literal Gucci just in downtown Detroit, which I'm shocked. Like, I'm sure there's security guards once you go in, but I am shocked that it was just like downtown and not really, I guess, like in an outlet or in a mall. But obviously no one can just get into Gucci. I am blanking on her name. I have to look it up. So yeah, it was nice to um let me see, Shark Tank, the Lip Bar founder. Her name is, I'm pretty sure, starts with a Melissa. Is it Melissa? Yes, I was right. Melissa Butler. Okay, I didn't want to say the video vixen, Melissa Ford. But yes, Melissa Butler. So it was nice. No, I did not run into her, but her employees were super nice. And yeah, that is the flagship store. I don't know if she still lives in Detroit, but I think it's like very wholesome that she went back home to create the flagship store. And then obviously like she does business online. So that was fun. Had this amazing sea bass while I was in Detroit. I'm such a seafood girl, so that was really good. And yeah, just was able to explore, hit some rooftops, my favorite type of vibe. But my literal highlight of my trip, and I told you guys I would tell you the name of the hotel once I was done staying there, because security purposes, and the folks be geo locating their location all the time. That was an actual thing, like 2019, 2020. And that's why all these rappers would end up, in the middle of shootouts, and honestly, no shade, no tea, dead, because they were literally geo dropping their locations all the time. But that was an actual thing a couple years ago. Like, we would always be dropping our location. Like, I literally used to do that, like on Snapchat and Instagram. Like, I would literally be posting where I was, and it's honestly so unsafe. So I did not want to disclose where I was staying, even when I was there. I just flicked up in the bathroom. The Godfrey Hotel by Hilton. It's a curio collection, and I'm so interested in this whole curio collection thing. It's made me like literally want to go and to do a deep dive into every Curio Collection Hotel by Hilton, because that was a 5-star experience. Regarding the check-in process, okay, which I'm going to get into because that's the story. However, the vibes, the aesthetic, the bathroom, all of that, insane. So we get there. I'm a type of person, I don't like getting anywhere super early because I don't like driving around until I have to check into the hotel. That's just how I am. And I'm also the type of person, as soon as I wake up and there's a check out, I am ready to depart. Like, I don't like sticking around. I come, I go. We get there literally right when check in, which is at 3, but we didn't get there till 4. So I'm like, okay, we'll be able to check in. I get in that hotel lobby, there is a full line. And I'm like, what is going on? Is everyone checking in at 4 o'clock? Like, check-in's at 3 o'clock. I'm shocked. These people have been waiting in line since 3 o'clock because apparently Hilton's POS system, which is their check-in, check-out system. If you guys have ever worked in retail, grocery, everyone uses a certain system. So their POS system was down. And it wasn't just at the Godfrey. It was all of these Hilton hotels. So I was looking on Reddit because I'm like, there's no way this is actually happening when I get here. Like, what are the odds? I went on Reddit because that's where you get the real tea. And it was this post from like 40 minutes ago. It was like, Hilton's down. So people can even book hotels online. Like, people were actively trying to book vacations, just like randomly. So you can even book your vacation hotel at the moment. Like, everything was down for Hilton. So we have that going on. And then move on to, my friend is trying to send me her half for the hotel. I was like, oh, just send it to me, like, once we get there, or like once we check out. Like, I put on my credit card. It was like no big deal. But she was like, but it's saying you cannot receive Apple Cash. And then I try to send Apple Cash to someone just to see if it's loading. Apple Cash is down. So that's the second thing that's going on in the universe. The third thing, I'm on Twitter, and we find out American Airlines is having an IT outage. So it's definitely giving we were hacked during my birthday weekend. There's been no update. I know American Airlines is resuming activity. I know Hilton is back up, but they had to like manually check us in. And the gag is they literally give us a badge to like scan in to go into a hotel room. And I kid you not, I think the Lord was protecting my precious eyes, because we go to room, so we end up staying in room like 531 or whatever. But the first room they give us is like 545. And I walk in and there's like someone's shirt hanging up, and it just looks like someone is definitely occupying the space. I am so happy I didn't see anything going on, because my friend is like, what if you walked in there and some stuff was going down? And I'm like, literally. So I'm like, I don't think they got the manual check-in correct, because we had to go back down, and I was like, yeah, this room is occupied. So then they give us 531, and they send up security or like just check-in staff to make sure that room is not occupied, which I think they should have done in the first case. I am very happy I did not walk in on anything, because that would have been a true story to tell. But no, the Godfrey, honestly, really good. It was an amazing location. And yeah, that was my birthday trip. Something low key. You guys know I've been documenting like everything. I do like the quick little life updates, but just with like moving, last year was totally different for my birthday. Last year I was in Cancun. Last year I had a little more coin to spend for my birthday. This year we had to be a little more budget friendly, something a little more that made sense for me and what was going on, especially with moving almost 3 months ago. I just could not be over here like, oh my gosh, I need to be international. I would love to go back to Mexico though. Other than that, I finished Tyler Perry's Beauty in Black, and it was amazing. So they were supposed to be, this upcoming third season, which is coming out August 27th on Netflix, I believe, was supposed to be the final season. Apparently, it is not. In a twist of events, Tyler Perry just announced on Twitter that they actually got greenlit for season 4. So it was going to end with season 3, and now they're getting greenlit for season 4. So that's actually really amazing news. Like I said, this is a true dramatic, extra Tyler Perry series. If you guys need something a little chaotic, a little messy, a little naughty, I definitely would recommend that. I also started watching this very good movie on Netflix. It's called Voicemails to Isabel. I had heard about it, just like I heard about Office Romance, J-Lo, I gotta watch. And I have to watch, what's the other one? People You Meet on Vacation, which is interesting. That's a interesting concept. But anyway, Voicemails to Isabella is probably like one of the best movies I've seen in a while. Like love, rom-com, sad, true, like not true story, but like just something other than rom-com. And I do appreciate a good movie that's like more than just, oh my gosh, the man is chasing after the woman. Like I like some substance. I talked about, I think it was The Life List on Netflix. No, The Oxford Student. I think it's The Oxford Student. It's something. I talked about that on the pod. That was such a good show, and it kind of a good movie, and it kind of reminded me of Voicemails to Isabella. So I would definitely recommend that. And then I recently started my journey as we get into the show on Real Housewives of Orange County. I just feel like if I have a pop culture podcast, if I talk all this crap about housewives, I gotta go back and watch the OGs. And I think for the longest, I put it off because, first of all, they're the first ones. Second of all, that is 20 seasons to get through. I'm currently on the second season. And it's so funny because, which we will be talking about in this episode, is Real Housewives of Ultimate Girls Trip. But it's so funny watching that premiere episode and like actually realizing that I know some of these girls from the first season of Real Housewives of Orange County. And it was just kind of like, oh my gosh, like there's Joe. I'm literally watching her season. Also, Joe only ends up being on OC for like 2 seasons, but seeing her on Ultimate Girls Trip, which I just watched, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then like Gianna, and I haven't gotten to Tamara's season yet. I'm only on second season. But I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to really understand what this Ultimate Girls Trip is, which is celebrating 20 years of Housewives, I gotta rewind and I gotta watch the first ever Housewives. And it's difficult because the makeup is so bad. The they have no filter, but it's kind of something very original. And I just realized that it's very similar. I never got into Laguna Beach, but I didn't realize Laguna Beach was in the OC because a lot of the things I'm seeing, I'm like, oh, this kind of remind me of like the Hills, Laguna Beach, like all of that stuff. So now I'm like watching them and even just like seeing Gianna's son, Shane, and how it was cool back then for the white guys to have the buzz cuts and these rock star girlfriends. I'm like literally just watching this girl who's apparently Miss Quebec, and she honestly looks a mess. But it's like this is like the true meat and potatoes of like reality TV, and this is how everyone looked back then, especially in the OC, especially on Laguna Beach. Like there are a lot of similarities, and I'm wondering what came first. I'm pretty sure the Real Housewives of OC came first, and then Laguna Beach, and then obviously the Hills. But that was really interesting to watch as I go back, and I'm like, okay, let me go back to the beginning. I'm going to go back to the beginning for New Jersey as well because I feel like that's another one that I should. I've already watched New York City from the beginning, Beverly Hills, Atlanta, of course, and then obviously Salt Lake City, Potomac, and all of them. But I feel like when I really go back, I have to go back and watch OC, and then next will be New Jersey, especially as the Ultimate Girls Trip start. Let's get into these reality topics. Obviously, I've been off for a week, so I'm just going to do the things that are most relevant. We're going to talk about a lot of this internet discourse we're seeing, but first of all, we got to start with Perez Hilton. Perez Hilton, the OG blogger, gossiper, starting his website in 2005. He was the first ever blogger gossiper. He honestly set the standard. Hey, Kelly. He set the standard for, just wanting the celebrity tea, the not paparazzi culture, but this whole like, celebrities would call bloggers to get their story out of there first. But unfortunately, Perez Hilton, he's not really favorable amongst the celebrities. I wouldn't say he's a Jason Lee. I would feel like he's a worse than a Jason Lee. A lot of people don't really care that right now he is truly facing life or death. So apparently he did a TikTok live stream very randomly, self-harming himself. This live stream went on for 30 minutes, and apparently his kids was just in the home 5 minutes before he started getting on TikTok and self-harming himself. This video has been blocked everywhere. There was an opportunity for me to watch it, and all of the comments told me not to watch it. Every single comment, I've never seen all of these comments on Twitter. And that's Twitter, okay? And TikTok is a whole other thing. TikTok gonna tell you not to watch something, but they're gonna give you the link. They're gonna be like, here, just watch it. The fact that there were links and they were like, do not watch it. Like people were saying like, do not watch it. So I chose not to watch it. Unfortunately, it is Twitter, so I eventually saw a screenshot of the video. I did not watch the video. TMI, blood everywhere. He looked a mess. Like it literally looked like he was being whipped. He had blood all over his body. It looked like he was being sacrificed. That's the only clip I saw. I did not click on the video. I just saw the clip of that. And then I continued on. So apparently that went on for 30 minutes for him to get all bloodied. And honestly, like I said, it looked like a self-sacrifice situation to me. This video went on for 30 minutes. People are slamming TikTok, the platform, saying, how did this video even make it this far? And now TikTok is basically saying, they told Washington Post, they were like, we were alerted within minutes of this happening, which is why we called the police. But they said there was an issue with the moderator, which is why this video was able to be streamed for 30 minutes. Not cool. There were people, this went on for 30 minutes, and I cannot imagine how traumatic that is. And I guess the comments of the live stream were just people saying, someone call the cops, like, where's his family? Like, why is this still being streamed right now? So he's in the hospital, and a lot of people do not care. And that's what happens when you're a terrible person. This man is literally facing life or death. All of the celebrities he has ultimately screwed over, made their life a living hell, made these people literally want to self-harm themselves. A lot of these people do not care. There are celebrities that are saying, we know what you have done to us, and we do not care that you're in this situation. And I think that is a crazy way circle of life. The fact that you are a renowned blogger, but no one is wishing you well. They're actually quite wishing you the opposite. Obviously, he was a lot ahead of my time, but I do recognize that, you know, he started this whole reality pop culture buzz, this whole like what celebrities are doing. He made this a whole culture phenomena of reporting on celebrity tea, because a lot of times it was just more paparazzi. A lot of times it was just like, you know, you're not really invested in these celebrities' lives. He made it a point. He brought this phenomenon of the fact that we are now so invested in these people we don't know. Before, it really was just a paparazzi. You see them on the cover of a celebrity magazine. Oh, this is their secrets, staying skinny and stuff. He made it a mission to literally stalk these people, harass these people, and get the dirtiest of the dirtiest secrets out of these people, whether it's through their friends, their family, paying off people. He made this culture very trashy. And so a lot of these celebrities literally are just like, we do not care. So his family says he's going to need multiple surgeries after what happened. He's deemed mentally unwell. And yeah, it's not a really good scene. Apparently, sheriff's office told CNN authorities that they spoke with family members on scene and confirmed he was alone inside. So that's good. I know a lot of people were like, was his kids there? Were his kids not there? The kids were just there. They left. And then he started streaming on TikTok. Apparently, he started doing this self-harming because I guess he's in financial ruin right now. So all this stuff that, you know, he was popping, he was making money, you know, but that was early. That was very early. I guess he's in financial ruin now. There's no money coming in. People aren't logging on to Perez Hilton's website anymore. His website is still active. People are going to TMZ. People are going to Instagram, the Shade Room. People aren't literally checking for his blog. He's not relevant anymore. And I think that's probably what has happened with his demise. Obviously, he's responsible for the downfall of a lot of your favorite celebrities. Lindsay Lohan, he made her life a living hell. A lot of our Nickelodeon stars just, so a lot of people, they just don't sympathize with him. It's really unfortunate because, like I said, he looked a mess, and he is in the hospital and being watched currently. But when I tell you, no celebrity I have seen is literally wishing him well. They're all like, rot in hell, in the words of Brittany Cartwright on The Valley. I think even Britney Spears just came out of hiding and was like, honestly, screw you. So I hope he's well, but a lot of the celebrities do not wish he is well. Someone else that I hope that is genuinely well and probably needs to stay on a hiatus. I'm shocked she even made it to tour, is Ariana Grande. Um, at what point do we shame celebrities? She does not look well. Ever since this whole Wicked thing, she does not look well. She looks like a twig that you could literally snap in half. And she's saying she's healthy. But I just saw a TikTok video of someone going to one of her concerts, literally looking just like her. Very skinny, very frail, very bony. And it's like now this is becoming a thing. So back in the 2000s, it was such a thing to be super skinny. You know, you wanted to be skinny, like bones, like anorexia. That was a thing. And it seems like with Ariana Grande, it's becoming a thing with the Ozempic, with the GLPs, with the protein and everything. Like people want that skinny look again. And I understand Ariana Grande is saying she's getting a lot of criticism with how she looks, but I'm like, you do not look well. And I don't think it's fair for her to be using her platform. You should not be on tour when you clearly look unwell. You're dropping music videos and outfits that are clearly unflattering on your frail body. I just don't think that's responsible as an artist. I do think she needs to go on hiatus, and I do think she is not well. I haven't seen Cynthia, what's her last name, Arivio, since the whole Wicked stuff. I don't know what happened on that Wicked set. My friend went to the Ariana Grande concert, and she told me, I'm reporting this live. She said she is tiny, and she had went to her concert 7 years ago when she was touring, and she said she's different. She's like, 7 years ago she would interact with us. This year it just seemed like she was there just to be like, here, you guys, I'm on tour. Like she said, it was different. She said she still can sing, because that's one thing Ariana Grande can do is sing. But my friend said she is tiny, and my friend is tiny, by the way, but Ariana Grande is tiny. So I do think she needs to go on a hiatus. She did release a statement. Um, well, Grande's Rebs released a statement. They said this tour has been a beautiful experience for her. She loves her fans and has loved every moment, every minute of this tour so much. She's looking forward to finishing the tour and ending it on a high note, both healthily and happily, and then taking a much deserved break from public facing work and appearances, which has led to endless ongoing public scrutiny. This is also from People magazine. This isn't her rep, but they said Grande has faced public scrutiny surrounding her weight, leading to the unplanned break. So she wasn't initially going to take this hiatus. I think she just dropped a song, Pedal, that debuted #1, which is good. This is the first time it's happened in 7 years. I don't think she was planning on taking a break. The scrutiny, it's a lot, but I'm one of those people where it's like, when are we going to wake something up? She doesn't look well, and we shouldn't be promoting this super skinny anorexia culture. This is not 2003 anymore when that was in. I just feel like it's not in, especially with all this Ozempic stuff. And then, like I said, I'm seeing a lot of products and a lot of, you know, recipes push protein, protein, protein. And people are like, why are they pushing protein? Because people are taking skinny fat loss drugs that they don't need to, and they're not getting their protein intake, or they're just taking it and they're not eating at all. And it's like, now people and now these brands are ultra aware. We got to start putting protein in this food because these people aren't eating. And if you're eating, you're not getting the amount of protein. So now everything has protein. Why do you think Khloe Kardashian just dropped cloud protein popcorn? Why would a popcorn need to have protein in it? Why? Like, it just makes no sense. Like, you put protein in things that are bad for you. There's this protein ice cream, right? They're putting protein in popcorn. Like, I just feel like they were so backwards as a society, and we're so looking like early 2000s. And I'll tell you what, a lot of celebrities were not well then when everyone was trying to become the next skinny thing. So, like I said, I hope Ariana Grande is well. I don't want to sound insensitive, but I do think she needs to go on a hiatus. And I do think once she comes back, she needs to address this because she does not look well. And this is a girl that has been pretty small her whole life. So now it's getting to a point where you do look very unhealthy. And that's honestly the real. That's the real. I've been on Twitter. I am in the Twitter streets quite often, so I'm seeing a lot of discourse happening with Megan the Stallion and Chloe Bailey. Those are two Black women that I just never understand why social media hates them so much. Megan the Stallion, they're both going viral right now for two different reasons. Megan the Stallion's going viral with old pictures with Klay Thompson, and someone captioned it, she really thought she was going to get married. And when you look at the montage of photos, it is one of him naming his whole yacht after her. Of course, a girl's going to think I'm about to get married to this man if he's naming a yacht after me. them holding up a key together to a house they got together. Of course, a girl's gonna think she's getting married. I'm just like, why are we shaming people for falling in love? Why are we constantly shaming Megan the Stallion? Because there's so many misogynistic pigs on the internet. And this is a woman tweeting this. She really thought she was going to get married. Girl, where is your ring at? I don't understand why we're shaming Megan the Stallion for thinking she was actually going to get married to Klay Thompson. The last photo was her cooking that grandiose meal for Thanksgiving, as she should. That man is mixed. They don't know what they're doing in the kitchen. They don't have any seasoning. Yes, she should. If you want me to come over, let me take over the kitchen. That is a Caucasian and black man. That side of the family, they don't know what they're doing. I don't understand why they think she should be embarrassed for loving him. And it's like people call Megan the Stallion a hoe. Oh my gosh, she's been with all these people. It's been Party Fonte. Okay, her and DaBaby had something, but it was never a relationship. And then it was Klay Thompson. I'm only seeing like three people you're linking her to. And then people want to always link her to Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez is in jail because Megan the Stallion. He should be in jail, rightfully so. Him and DaBaby, I say it all the time, short man syndrome. She was never in a relationship with them. The only two people I've seen her publicly in a relationship with is Party Fonte and Klay Thompson. And all of this drama she's getting is because of this Tory Lanez, because he shot her in the foot. I don't understand why people dislike Megan the Stallion. I think they dislike her because if you actually listen to her songs, she actually raps and she's not just talking about twerking. I mean, she got her twerking songs, but like Megan Thee Stallion actually talks about real stuff. I think a lot of the men in the industry are intimidated by her, and this is me as a Drake fan. The fact that he has added her in multiple of his songs is very weird to me. And I think a lot of them are just upset that Tory Lanez is in jail, and I don't know why they care. I mean, he must be somebody's producer because his discography is not that good. He got about a couple of songs, but they need to let it go. That man's going to be in jail for a minute. And then I don't even know why people care about the whole DaBaby situation. Like, isn't him and like Danny Lee, like, they got a baby together? Like, he was canceled. Now he's going to come back. Like, I don't understand why there's all this heat for Megan Thee Stallion for speaking on her truth. They're like, oh, it's because she was lying at first. But it's like, you don't know what you want to say. It's like, it's because she's lying first. It's because she's a hoe. It's because she's a lover girl. The only thing I resent Megan Thee Stallion for doing in her relationship with Klay Thompson is dropping Lover Girl, because that song was trash. Other than that, Chloe Bailey is also coming for the folks on Twitter, and I'm supporting it. I don't know why people dislike Chloe Bailey. They call her cringe. They call her the Shamia Morton of Real Housewives of Atlanta. I don't know what Chloe Bailey did to anyone either. So she posted all these photos. It was just her birthday. She was in St. Lucia. She posted these photos. She's in her bikini. She's smiling. She's living life. People are like, oh my gosh, like basically calling her ugly. So on TikTok, she gets back at these people. And then on Twitter, she was getting into it. One of these fans, I'm just gonna quote what she was saying because I think it's like actually hilarious to read this in like a normal tone. And I can imagine her just being tired of it. Like there's so many people that are just like so quick. And I credit this to Perez Hilton. There's people that are judging these celebrities and you don't even know them. And this girl is just posting up for her birthday trip. And you guys are in the comments calling her ugly. Or you're just saying like, oh, like you're so cringe. Like, why are you doing this? She's doing like a dancing video in one of them. And they're like, this isn't it. This wasn't what you thought it was. And I'm like, let the girl celebrate her birthday. Like, I just don't understand what Chloe Bailey and Megan Thee Stallion did to y'all. Okay, so one of them, she said, no ho, block me. But I think you want to keep seeing me and saying my name. How about you get off the internet and get a job? I got a job several. You know my name, yet I don't know yours. Your mother must be proud. Period. And then the other one was go to hell, jobless hoe, and show your face. Already know it's ugly because if it was cute, it would have been up. Scary A. And that's just two tweets. She's been coming back at the girls on TikTok. I have to dig into that. Now people are like, why are you addressing this? And that's another thing. Let's talk about it. People get upset when Megan Thee Stallion puts Klay Thompson on blast for treating her terribly during his losing season and, cheating on her, basically. They were upset. They're like, oh, Megan, you shouldn't have posted it on your Instagram story. You should have just went out silently. No, let's bring back public shame. And now people are in the comments saying, why would Chloe Bailey even give them the energy? Because sometimes you need to match energy with energy. Sometimes we can't always take the high road. We're all not Michelle Obamas. Sometimes people are relentlessly attacking the same people, but then bowing down to other people. And I compare that often, at least in the rap industry, if we want to talk about it. I think the only reason people come for Megan Thee Stallion is because she's a darker skinned woman, and she's not even dark skinned, she is a brown skinned woman. But y'all don't have nearly this much energy for Lotto. I just feel like there's certain people that I don't understand why they don't get any energy, but then Megan Thee Stallion gets all this energy. And then in terms of Chloe Bailey, because she doesn't have the typical sex appeal of these other singers, I feel like they're so comfortable with coming towards her. You guys came for her sister Hallie with that whole DDG situation, but all of a sudden that's kind of been like forgotten. It's like you love to like pick on someone when they're not like, I think, the European standard of what's hot or what's the typical standard in the industry. And I genuinely hate it. Megan Thee Stallion and Chloe Bailey. Hey, I like both of the girls. Those are two women I'm constantly gonna be like, let's put the pitchforks down, because it's never that deep. They're just over there living their rich lives. And a lot of y'all can't even talk about their rich lives because you don't even have the money to compare. So that's actually hilarious to me, that there's always someone with a nameless name, a nameless photo. We don't know who these people are, always coming for these two. I don't like it. I don't like it, but I do like when hot people date each other. Coco Donovan. I said Coco Donovan. Coco Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell, the Mitchells, the Jones. They are officially married. It was a star-studded wedding, beautiful gowns. She looked lovely. And you can just tell Donovan Mitchell is a guy that enjoys being married. You can tell this is a man that has enjoyed the process fully, from planning, from that first DM. Apparently, he slid in her DM. It was ignored and then circled back. I think like a year later, she like responded to his DM. You can tell this is a man that has genuinely enjoyed the ride of courting Miss Coco Jones. He has enjoyed courting her. He has enjoyed proposing to her. He has enjoyed marrying her. That is a man that showed all 32. All the videos I am seeing from their wedding, this man is genuinely so happy to be married to Coco Jones. I mean, beautiful woman, lovely dress. The gown was beautiful. The reception dress was beautiful. Like I said, star-studded. We saw Sierra. We saw Russell there. Who else was there? I mean, some of the NBA players were there. I think Jalen Green, I don't know what his name is, but he was like, this made me literally want to get married. Okay. Hopefully it's for the right reasons. But I can just tell Donovan Mitchell like genuinely loves Coco Jones. And I'm curious to see if she's going to take his name. I think she would take his name. But I think she's going to keep Coco Jones as her stage name. Hot people dating that eventually get married. Hot people dating that could get married. I see it. I don't think Kim Kardashian's going to get married though again. However, if she was to get married again, would it be to Lewis Hamilton? Because that, I'm not going to lie, is a fine looking couple. That's just a couple. When I see them, they just posted this recent collage together. When I see them together, I'm like, you know what? This makes sense. This is probably the most on brand thing for both of y'all. At first, when they were dating, I was a little like, but you know what? That's one thing about Kim, is she's gonna keep a fine man in her roster. And Lewis Hamilton, I never really saw it for him, but that's why you get with these baddies, because as soon as you get with a baddie, you go up like 10 points automatically. Because I've never seen it for him. I always thought he was a little small, a little Jacquees-esque. But now that he's dating Kim Kardashian, I'm like, that is a hot couple that needs to stay together. Another hot couple that might be on the rise, and this truly breaks my heart to say, is Michael B. Jordan and Ray, the singer. You know what? Gorgeous woman, gorgeous man. Everyone knows how I feel about Michael B. Jordan. And you know what? I know he is ready to get married. Ray just dropped a song, Where the Hell Is My Husband? And I hope her husband is Michael B. Jordan, because we do know why Michael B. Jordan and Lori Harvey broke up. Because Lori Harvey did not want to get married. And now she's back and forth with Snowfall Man. And I don't think they're really serious about each other, but I think they're serious about each other. Also, him and Michael B. Jordan were like friends. So That's messy. I wished them both well. Lori Harvey's hot, but that's a sticky situation. So I've been wanting Michael B. Jordan to find his forever because I do feel like they did him dirty. And if it's Ray, who is so ready for her husband, and apparently Michael B. Jordan is so ready for his wife, I hope it works out. They were spotted at Six Flags together. And I just feel like, let's control it. Was it a little, was it for so the folks can talk? It's giving you guys have been dating, but it's like I also understand being a celebrity and just wanting to go to amusement park. Like if I was a celebrity and I cannot go to Cedar Point or like Six Flags or Busch Gardens, and it's like something I genuinely enjoy, like that would annoy me. But I'm also like, at what point y'all got money? You could shut down the park. So it's giving hard launch. It's giving you wanted the folks to know y'all are dating. Because I don't think this was your first date. If this is your first date, this is wild. I don't think it's your first date. I think it's giving we're hard launching because I'm like, why not shut down the park? Michael B. Jordan, come on now. You could have shut down the park. It's giving we're hard launching. It's giving this is probably like the fifth, sixth date because to be that comfortable with someone to go to Six Flags and be okay with airtime, camera time everywhere, it's giving you guys are ready to hard launch. And hey, like I said, I'm here for it. Michael B. Jordan obviously is a lot older than me, so I knew it was never a possibility, but I'm still very super happy for him. And I like Ray. I can't really get into her music, but I like Ray as a personality. And sometimes it's not about the singer, it's about the person inside. And from her interviews and stuff, she just seems like a really well-grounded, like person. Like I said, I can't get into her music. Maybe I'll try it again, but she seems pretty chill to me. Let's get into what's happening on Twitter before we jump back to reality TV. Besides the hot folks dating, besides the Megan and Chloe Bailey discourse, Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip just had a red carpet. There was a video posted, or we saw some of the girls' gowns. Everyone looked lovely, I will say. Andy Cohen went on Radio Andy and basically was like, it was star-studded. Shimia was there. Portia was there. And Gerald was there. Who's Gerald? Oh my gosh, you guys know who Gerald is. Shamia's man. People love to act like they don't know who Gerald is. We know who Gerald is. And Andy thought it was, I don't even think Andy was being shady. He was like, I went up to Gerald and I'm like, hey, this is the conversation. A lot of people think Shamia has not been on the show because you do not want her on the show. And what we do know is that that may have been it in the past. However, he is okay with being on the show now. Not him on the show, but at least with Shamia on the show. Gerald is a well-respected businessman. He works in HVAC. He doesn't really have time for a lot of the shenanigans that Housewives brings. So if he is fully supporting his wife, you know what, being on the show, he's like, I'm going to keep my appearances to the minimal. I don't understand what's wrong with that. I think Shamia is a quintessential housewife. And I think, and I've said this before on my platform, and I think the people are coming around to it. At first, I posted a TikTok talking about y'all is all jealous of Shamia. The folks was like, why would they be jealous of Shamia? A couple episodes later, people are now saying the girls are jealous of Shamia. And I'm just like, didn't I say that 10 episodes ago? Like, it's just so funny to me. So the people are now seeing that these girls quite literally might be very jealous of Shamia. And I know that Portia's jealous of Shamia because Andy's talking about meeting Gerald and how nice and how much you could see the love there. And Shamia just randomly, I don't think she randomly tweets, she was responding to Andy Cohen's comment he made on the podcast, and she tweeted, or she went on Threads. I gotta get on Threads. She said, my husband has never had a problem with me filming at our home or with our children. He just never wanted to be on the show. As I said, Portia, big boss Portia, had the nerve to literally go underneath Shamia's. You guys aren't even talking. So I'm just like, Portia, nobody was talking to you. And this is how I know Portia is jealous of Shamia. Now you're implying Andy is lying for the second time. First, Andy already confirmed that I tried for years to get you on Real Housewives of Atlanta as a full-time housewife. Second, Andy is saying that the real reason, which hasn't been discussed until now, is that Gerald didn't want you filming in the home. Yet here you are saying that Andy is lying again. You are the liar, steady stirring false narratives. SMH, the real story, true narrative. Let's go. So I'll tell you what, Portia fans didn't like that. They were like, Portia, she wasn't even talking to you. And it's giving jealous. Why are you adding your 2 cents into this conversation? It has nothing to do with you. Shamia never implied that Andy was a liar. And if we're going to keep it 100%, Portia never wanted Shamia on Housewives. I don't care how many times she says she's wanted Shamia on Housewives. I never believed it. Portia is the type of girl that needs to be the star in her friend group. She is not a supporting character. She needs attention on her all the time. And this is someone that genuinely likes Portia and loves her character arc. I understand what type of girl Portia is. Now, Portia may have not started like that. I think Portia started very humbly. And I think she also was humbled on reality TV because of the whole Cordell situation. And then, literally finding out he's filing for divorce on TV and then having to literally leave her marital home and move in with her mom at 31 years old. I think Portia has been humbled completely on TV, and I have really enjoyed watching Portia grow up. However, what we're not going to do is act like Portia is not seething that Shamia is a kept woman, because that is all Portia has wanted to be her entire life. She came onto the show as a Stepford wife. That was her biggest goal in life, is to find a man and keep him. And unfortunately, she has not been able to find any man or keep them. No shade, no tea. Her record isn't strong. I think for her to really just chime in and tweet, and now you're trying to pin Shamia against Andy, very unnecessary. I think she's trying to isolate Shamia. I think she's trying to get rid of all of her friends on the show. I think she's trying to befriend her only friend on the show, Kelly, so that, Shamia is on this island alone. And the only thing I really wish to Shamia to get through her head is that you are that girl. And I'm like, Shamia is that type of girl that don't understand she's that girl. She's in a different position than a lot of these women. She's working for fun. She's on the show for fun. She doesn't have to, though. And I'm not saying the goal is to be a kept woman, but Gerald clearly loves Shamia. And it's very clear. A lot of people try to play her like, oh my gosh, if she don't give him a son, he's gonna leave her. And I talked about this in one of my recent episodes. That is a huge thing in African and Asian communities. Like, if you don't have a son, it is kind of like, well, damn, what else was we doing this for? But the fact that he has stayed with her through all of their fertility issues, they have two beautiful daughters. Her surrogate is pregnant again with a son. It was never giving he was going to leave her if she didn't produce a son. He was very understanding of her fertility issues. Did he want a son? Yeah. But apparently, I watched Carlos King, and he said a lot of the women are jealous, and he knows the women. He said a lot of the women it's giving they're jealous because apparently Gerald in Atlanta pre Shamia, you thinking about it, Atlanta, where the Africans at? The girls' main goal in Atlanta, where are the Africans and the Nigerians? That is what the girls in Atlanta are looking for. Gerald was this hot commodity working at HVAC, 45 when he met Shamia. Shamia is this young tenderoni. I think she's 33 when she met him. 30 maybe. I mean, the age gap is there. Out of all of the women, he wanted Shamia. This is a dark-skinned, beautiful woman. People are like, why do you bring up color? Because colorism in Atlanta and Potomac is so prevalent. A lot of these women feel like when you are a darker-skinned woman, you should be grateful for the position you are in. You should be grateful that you were picked because you're dark. Not let alone being a black woman, but you should be grateful because you're dark. And I think a lot of the women are jealous because this is a dark-skinned, beautiful woman who was picked by a dark-skinned man. And I think that's literally what it is. I think Portia commenting on the Andy and Shamia of it all, saying now you're saying he's a liar. Nobody didn't said nothing. She said, my husband has never had a problem with me filming at our home or with our children. He just never wanted to be on film. Where is she saying that Andy's lying? Andy didn't even say that. Andy said, I went up to Gerald and I asked him, the word on the street is that you don't want her on the show. He said, my problem has never been her being on the show. I don't want to be on the show. Case closed. Let's talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta, the first part of the reunion. I did watch Ultimate Girls Trip as well. So we're going to get into those two very briefly. We had a lot of reality topics to cover. That's how it always happens when I'm back after a week, because I'm like, there's always so much shenanigans happening. And I really had to talk about Portia, because I'm like, Portia, I like you, but you do be giving hater towards Shamia. Like, it do be giving hater. So let's talk about everything that's going on at the first part of the Atlanta reunion. This was the uncensored, supersized episode. Look, Drew and K Michelle came out the gate swinging on each other. I personally don't think Drew Sidora needs to be on the show anymore. I think she's a little expired. I don't see what she brings to the show besides lies. She does lie. I just don't know why Drew Sidora is still on the show. Like, they're like, oh my gosh, she's withstood so many cast changes, which I agree. It gets to a point where you're only as strong as your weakest link. And I think Drew Sidora is the weak link. However, K Michelle's obsession with this whole Drew and Black thing is very weird to me, especially when K Michelle is a married woman. K Michelle is constantly finding herself in drama on the show based on the men that are associated with the show. They're not even on the show. Okay, Black did come to the show. And I knew Black was on some nonsense when he showed up to an Atlanta restaurant with no top on, unbuttoned, and some freaking big veneers. Like, I'm like, you knew you were literally about to be getting filmed. Like, you knew that was literally about to happen. He's showing all 32s, pearly whites, fake veneers. It looked a mess. And I'm just like, you literally coming on camera with your shirt unbuttoned at a restaurant. They're at a fine dining restaurant. That's how you know it's some Atlanta stuff. K Michelle is upset. So what is the issue between K Michelle and Drew? So two things can be true. Yes, I don't think Drew Sidora needs to be on the show moving forward. I just don't think she needs to be on the show. But also, I do think a lot of the women use Drew as a cheap shot. As soon as you come on, let's attack Drew. And I don't know why they do come for her, because I do agree. She is a layup. Like, people, for some reason, think they can school Drew and she's not going to come back. And some may argue she does come back. Some may argue she doesn't. I don't know. I personally don't. I do see what she means. Like, they take cheap shots at her. So K Michelle coming on and already having this animosity towards Drew, I was always very confused. I was like, do you guys know each other? You guys are both technically in the music industry. K Michelle acts like she doesn't know her, but she was at the premiere for the TLC biopic that Drew Sidora did. Also, Shamia Morton was in that as an extra. Kiki Palmer was in it, and then we had Little Mama in it. So there are pictures of K Michelle actually at the red carpet. So you actually do know who Drew Sidora is. In that movie, amazing. Drew Sidora played actually T-Boz. So yeah, K Michelle said she basically did not want to be associated with Black because of everything that is coming out now. And everything that is coming out is obviously that he is facing a lot of lawsuits from influencer, model. She's not a model. No shade, no tea. Influencer, Lala Milan, and there was someone else. Basically, these are people that he has had endorsement deals with or influencer sponsorships with, and apparently they said he is not getting he's not paying them. So that's why he's facing a bunch of lawsuits, because he still owes money to a bunch of these influencers and a lot of these celebrities. And K Michelle is basically saying this is why she did not want to be associated with him on the show, because of everything that was going on. Drew is saying, well, you didn't even know this stuff was going on during filming, so clearly you're gossiping behind the scenes. And I think that's also such a cheap shot, because like, you all are gossiping behind the scenes. Yeah. So yeah, we kind of get a little bit into that. I think K Michelle doesn't like that. Well, we didn't talk about the recent episode because obviously I was on break. K Michelle may not know Black, but she definitely knew of Black, because in my opinion, the way when Drew, showed those text messages, exchanges the DMs between them, and then fell on the floor over her pants and claimed somebody pushed her down, I personally felt like that was a very flirty DM to send to someone that you don't know. She said, "Thanks, handsome." Um, I feel like Giselle Bryan. I'm not getting it. When she's talking to Karen Huger, I don't know why K Michelle would respond with "Thanks, handsome." I thought that personally was a little cozy for you not to know someone. I digress. So let's move on to Portia and her dating life. And this is why I said earlier Portia has never been able to keep a man. You guys know I watch Monday Night Live, Carlos King. That is the only podcast I watch because as a podcaster now, I had to stop listening to a lot of them. I listen to other ones that are not pop culture and reality TV. I had to stop listening to other ones because my opinions started unwillingly becoming other people's opinions. And I was like, I need to watch things clear eye. I want to shout out Blue Toulouse on Monday Night Live because she said that it is very fitting that Portia ended up going with Sway, and not in a, of course she went with Sway, because we know Portia has dipped into the lady pond. We know that she has had experiences with women. Um, but I will say what Blue said, it's very interesting that Dennis now will always be the only man in her life and Sway will be the only woman in her life. Like, she didn't go with the men. Like she said, it's kind of like a psychological thing where it's like she's always going to have that love there for Dennis in a different way than she's going to have any other man that she tries to get to know. And you guys, we cannot lie. Her and Dennis's chemistry is just undeniable. But I will truly continue to say this: the only reason they're not getting back together is because he literally embarrassed her multiple times. And it's like, just because you love someone doesn't mean you need to be with them. And I think she's okay with that. Like, but maybe we were supposed to create this kid together, you know? Maybe that's what our story was supposed to be. And I think she's really aware of that. And I say that to say because Blue says she's always going to have Dennis in her life and he will always be comfortable with her being in his life because now he doesn't have to fight for attention with the other male. He's always going to be the only man in her life versus Sway is always going to be the only woman. I think she does love Sway. I don't know if I think she's in love with Sway. I got to see more of that. But I know she seems smitten, and I think it's always a good area to be smitten and, kind of obsessed with someone. So I don't know. We shall see. But she is claiming Sway and truly is here for Sway and all of this stuff. And that's when Andy said happy pride. And she said, you see, now you didn't mean that in a shady way. She still claims Shamia meant it in a shady way. I mean, hey, if that was the most shadiest thing Shamia could say, I think you can let it roll off your back. Obviously, she's referring to an interview that Shamia did, and Shamia was asked to say something about each one of her castmates. And, when she got to Portia, she said, hey, happy pride. She said, me and Portia were not in a good place, but a lot of people were confused when Portia was like happy pride back to Shamia, and Shamia was saying, I don't know why she would say that, and Portia is now saying, I didn't mean it to out you or anything, I was just saying like, oh, like happy pride to you as well, because she just thought it was a little shady for her to say. But I'm like, what else are you supposed to say? Like, I guess Shamia said it was June, and then Portia's like, no, it was May. But I'm like, either way, it was about to be pride. If I'm not in a good place with you, I got an interviewer asking me about, and what do you have to say about Portia Williams? I think I possibly would have said happy pride as well, because we're not in a good place, and she's happily in her relationship. So I just don't think it's something that deep. But it's like with Portia and Shamia, they're so ultra sensitive right now with each other that all of their shots they're taking at each other, everything's just so like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe she said that. I can't believe she said that. Happy effing pride. I mean, it was, whether it was May or June, at the end of the day, I mean, the end of May is about to be June. So I don't know. I don't think it was that deep. In Portia, you are in a relationship. Happy pride. Other than that, what else happened during this? Portia's divorce settlement. So Kelly's biggest thing is that Portia is in Simon's house. Simon says, yada, 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 yada. Unfortunately, Kelly, I think she should just stop talking about the finances because we know that our girl Kelly is down. You guys know I'm someone that's always genuinely liked Kelly since her first season last season. I think she's loud. I think she's bodacious. I think she's delusional. And I think those makes for a great housewife. I'm so sick of the fans like being like she needs to be fired. Why? She activates your fave, Portia. Like, we would like to see it activated, Portia. Duh. Kelly, though, needs to stop talking about finances because unfortunately, we don't know what's going on. We don't know if she's in the townhome. We don't know if she got the new home. We don't know if she's living with Shamia. I do agree with that. I wouldn't even bring up the fact that Portia is in Simon's house because, like, Portia said, I'm paying the bills. I mean, at the end of the day, it's my house. And that's what I will agree with her with. Kelly, we don't know where your house is. Your house could be at Nana's Chicken and Waffles, or it could be at the foreclosed location. We don't know where you're living. So that's why I'm like, Kelly, just stick to the other stuff. Stick to the stealing the men and stuff that Portia does. Don't talk about the finances because, like I said, Kelly, we don't know where your home is. We just know you had to get your butt up out of that townhome and that you was staying with Shamia for 2 weeks. In that Jarvis, we had a Jarvis reveal on Instagram. I didn't even talk about that. Man's kind of hot, so I'm actually love that for Kelly because her ex-husband is not. Jarvis, hot. You know what? Carlos King said he was hot. That is a man. I did see the photo reveal, and he's claiming her now. I do think it's weird that they're continuing with this Jarvis thing because apparently his real name's not Jarvis. I'm just like, why are we making up names now if we want to be like unidentified? And like his literal Instagram is who is Jarvis. I'm just like, okay, so you do want to. It's giving he's gonna be on next season, and it's giving like he low key wants to be on camera, and I hate that. It's really hard to find an Atlanta man that don't want to be on Real Housewives of Atlanta because Real Housewives of Atlanta is so big in Atlanta. It's not like New York. It's not like Potomac. I'll tell you what, Potomac, none of the men want to be on Real Housewives of Potomac because you putting your business out there. DC, DMV, they are very private about their dating lives. That's why we don't see Giselle dating anyone on camera. They don't want to be on camera with their men. Now, Atlanta, it's hard not to find a man that don't want to be on camera. That's why I think it's good that Shamia and Gerald are together because if he did want to be on the camera, I think it's just a little weird. Atlanta, the men are thirsty to be on Real Housewives of Atlanta. It is a thing. So I do think it's interesting. His Instagram is who is Jarvis? Who is he? What is your name? Like, why are you going with this whole stick of your name is Jarvis? This is the most ugliest name ever. Like, why are we saying Jarvis? Like, the only Jarvis I know is from Selling the OC, Alexis Jarvis. I don't even think that was her last name. Why is Jarvis a weird, like this isn't a real name that everyone's using. I literally think the Alexis from Selling the OC, her last name wasn't even Jarvis. She was just saying her last name was Jarvis. I'm like, what is the history behind the term Jarvis that all these people that don't want to reveal their names are using the term Jarvis? Regardless of that, I'm glad that Kelly got her a hot man, but like what we do know is that he paid 70K for your new smile. And it's like, girl, surely that should have went towards the bills and maybe you would have a home to be in. And I like Kelly, but I'm confused why you would want this man to pay 70K for your new teeth and not pay 70K of these lawsuits you got coming in, because she is also another housewife that very may well be filing for bankruptcy soon. And I like Kelly. That's why I want Kelly to stay on the show. That's why I don't agree with people saying she needs to be fired. Let's have her keep a job. She needs a job. If Nana's Chicken and Waffles is not doing well right now, her main location apparently is doing well, but it's still not bringing in enough money that she needs for payroll, for the mortgage. Like, there's so much more. If that location is bringing in 80K a month, that is not a lot, you guys, for her to keep payroll, for her to pay for these bills, for her to even pay herself. 80K for a restaurant a month is not good. You would honestly consider that a failing business because she's going to have to make cuts and she can't even pay herself. 80K is someone's whole salary. No shade, no tea. So I want Kelly to remain on the show. I want her to remain her messy self. I want her to remain her same size. People talk about her size. She's 4'11". I'm like, why are we like coming for Kelly for her looks? Like, I said she needed to chill on the Botox and filler, but she can't do anything about being 4'11". I said her fashions are very loud. She needs to quiet them. But there's nothing she can do about being literally stunted in growth. She's 4'11". She just needs to wear things that don't make her seem so short. And that's why you never see Kelly without a heel. I would keep a heel on. If I was that short, I would keep a heel on. Like, I understand it. But her fashions, a lot of times it's dragging. A lot of times it does make her look shorter than what she is in just like a clown show. Like, she needs to more elevate it. And that's why she said she was the standard on Carlos King, because the people are using her ex-stylist, Paris Shea, and Paris Shea is making them girls put that stuff on. And I wonder if that's one regret she has, is like getting rid of him or making him pick, like, hey, you can't work with other people, you only got to work with me. Because he was exclusively her stylist last season, and she looked amazing last season. They got into a fight. And now he's styling literally everyone on Real Housewives of Atlanta but her. And it does suck because I'm like, she sees his fashions every day, and it's like, girl, she definitely needs a new stylist. Other things that were happening. So this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't know why K Michelle is so for clearing her name with these other men when she's a married woman. So we have the situation with Black impending, and then there's a situation where, you know, Portia was dating two people at once. She was dating this Mike guy who honestly just wanted to be on TV. And that's what I mean by these Atlanta men want to be on TV. Apparently Phaedra was dating him prior, and that's how I knew he wanted to be on TV, because he was dating Phaedra. And I'm just like, Phaedra, that's not even your type. It was just in case homeboy wasn't available so she could have somebody to film with. This Mike guy is so DTF, and not in the Jersey Shore way. He is DTF in the way of down to film. He is down to film whatever, a pickup scene, a car scene, a dating scene, an I love you scene. He is so DTF, it's not even funny. Phaedra discloses to Portia, this is a man I used to date. Air quotes, because apparently Phaedra's only dated or like had like two boyfriends after Apollo. Do we believe that? This man she used to date. She gives Portia a heads up. K Michelle's like, that's literally all I wanted as a friend coming into this group. Portia allegedly was talking to one of these guys that K Michelle used to date. K Michelle did All Queens Court on Peacock before she was on Real Housewives of Atlanta. I didn't watch that season. That was the season with Lisa Ray McCoy. Was Evelyn Lozada on that season? I don't know. She did a season. There's two seasons of All Queens Court. I did watch All Kings Court. How male-centered of me. I preferred All Kings Court over All Queens Court. But K Michelle was on there. She fell in love with some guy, and that is her ex, the reality ex, that she is saying Portia apparently dated. And this is how I know this guy that is her ex also is thirsty to be on Real Housewives of Atlanta, because he filmed a scene. It wasn't shown though. So she's saying, you should have given me the heads up that you guys were even talking. Portia's saying, he wasn't even in the running. I was in between Mike and Sway. So why am I letting you know about this guy that I talked to touch and go from here? Like, I wasn't even interested in this man like that. Like, we went on a couple dates. That was it. But K Michelle felt like she was plotting on her. K Michelle has confirmed. Jason Lee has also confirmed that there were some peaches calling around for what's the tea on K Michelle. And the people I like to act like they don't do it. When K Michelle lashed out, I understood what she was doing. I said you should have waited for it to play out though, because I do think people are calling around asking about you for what's the tea. All they know is you're this girl from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, and you can shake the table. Nobody wants their table shooken. I just think that she should have let that scene play out. I do think the girls were calling about her. Jason Lee confirmed Phaedra Parks is one of the girls that called him up and said, what's the tea on K Michelle? She's not wrong. So it's hard with K Michelle, because I genuinely loved K Michelle on Love and Hip Hop, but I was genuinely disappointed in her performance on Real Housewives of Atlanta. I think Portia could have given her a heads up about this man. Apparently this man was stirring up some drama behind the scenes, telling her to check out this interview, all this stuff. It caused K Michelle and Portia to go back at each other. Portia basically is like, you have lived several lives and it is leaking or something. K Michelle told her to close her glory hole. Um, Portia was gagged by that because her neck went back. She was like, she definitely was gagged by that. K Michelle was reading the girls. This is the K Michelle I genuinely wanted to see, not the one that was on mute this entire season. This is the K Michelle I'm expecting to see next season. One, she's getting a contract renewal. Andy Cohen loves K Michelle. Two, she's getting a contract renewal. The way they're positioning her, it's going to be this K Michelle versus Portia thing. K Michelle wants to be the HBIC in Atlanta, especially after all of the drama she's been through with Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Unfortunately, the HBIC title is currently held by Miss Portia Williams. The girls love Portia. Portia, like I said, I may be most criticizing to Portia, but it's because I've seen her character arc the most, and I know how Portia is now. I'm comfortable with her. So it's kind of just like that. But Portia definitely is the HBIC. And I see K Michelle wanting that spot. And it's like, I don't know. Portia's kind of the head girl when it comes to Atlanta. The people in Atlanta, like, it's just like Portia Williams on a different level. K Michelle, you used to be that girl. And I think she's trying to become that girl again. May the best girl win. But yeah, Jason Lee did confirm that the folks were calling about K Michelle. That's why when she lashed out this season, I was like, I believe it. Let's talk about Angela, Portia's newest lapdog. Since they want to say Shamia's like the lapdog, Angela is a lapdog. If she's not defending Portia, she's literally defending Angela. And you will never convince me to go to bat with someone or for someone that has still to this day said, I need to stop playing or I'm going to F your husband. She said that about Charles Oakley. So Angela Oakley, you trying to be all buddy buddy with Portia, you need to be very careful that she actually doesn't F Charles Oakley, because I just don't understand this weird alliance she has to Portia. Every time she was talking, she was hopping in, jumping in for Portia. It was like, Angela, you had such a good season, your premiere season last season. But it's like you've literally become what you call Shamia, which is the lap dog. Portia doesn't need help defending herself or clearing up anything. You're doing it all, and the fans are turning. I'm watching it shift. It already shifted when she did that lame thing this season, which we're going to talk about, I'm sure, in the second episode. But it's kind of shifting. The audience is looking at Portia. The audience is looking at Angela and they're kind of like, girl, do you want to stay on the show or what? Because it is giving she wants to stay on the show and she wants to be her lapdog. She's pretty comfortable up there. Some other things that happen, which I'm really glad we talked about, is Shamia. This is kind of what ends the episode. Oh, also Pinky Cole is pregnant. And so many people like to say her and her husband don't like each other. They love each other because she's been pregnant a lot, honestly. And honestly, I like the relationship. But Shamia finally addresses what she meant when she told Shamia, I am happy to be your friend, but a lot of my friends don't want to be your friends. This was not having to do with the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I'm glad in the next part we're finally getting into this, you guys, because we're getting into the real women of Atlanta. When I'm talking the real women that run Atlanta, housewives aside, I'm talking Kandi Burruss. I'm talking Tiny Harris, T.I.'s, well, not even T.I. is this Escape member. Like, we know who Tiny is. I'm talking Tiny, Kandi, Yandy from Love and Hip Hop, Rashida from Love and Hip Hop. There are women that run Atlanta, LaToya, Lil Wayne's baby mama. And there's somebody else that runs Atlanta. Those are like the core five. I said Yandy. Who am I missing? Someone else. It's a certain group of women in Atlanta that Shamia is friends with. Kandi Burruss obviously used to be on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Kandi is not cool with Phaedra and Portia after the whole season 9 stuff. Her and Portia are cool, but they're not cool. She's definitely not cool with Phaedra. That's the only reason Phaedra's been allowed to come back on the show, because Kandi not on the show no more. Kandi and Shamia are friends. And when she's talking about, I'm glad we're friends because my other friends don't want me to be friends with you, she's not talking about the Real Housewives of Atlanta. She's talking about the real women of Atlanta. And we're finally going to get into that in the second part of the reunion. And this is where we're going to start learning the Atlanta dynamics. There are Real Housewives dynamics, but then there are also people that actually run Atlanta. And there are people that, out of allegiance for Kandi Burruss, Brandy Monica. Monica is the other girl that runs Atlanta. Shamia is friends with these other group of people. And that's another reason why I say these people on this show are jealous of Shamia, because she actually has friends outside of housewives. She's actually friends with this affluent group of women. Rashida and K. Michelle don't get along. Kandi Burruss's allegiance is to Rashida. Because of that, Shamia Morton is telling K. Michelle, I'm glad we're friends. However, my friends do not want me to be friends with you. That is who she's talking about, Rashida and Kandi Burruss. So that'll be addressed in the second part, I hope. And then I hope we also get into the Tamar Braxton of it all, because she's also in that web of things of Atlanta. Atlanta's very small, and that's why K. Michelle, she talks about her time on the show and why it was very difficult for her to kind of get into a rhythm, because she is so used to the mean girls of Atlanta. And she literally calls this group of women to Andy, she's like, these are the mean girls of Atlanta I was talking about, because she was on Love and Hip Hop with some of these women. And She doesn't have like favorable reviews, but I think the girls can say the same to you. So Shamia is like in with this certain group of women. I think the people on the couch, especially the left side, are very jealous of that. Shamia is on yachts with Candy Burris, Tiny, Latoya, a certain group of women. You know what I mean? Housewife stuff aside. K Michelle, I always thought K Michelle and Shamia's relationship would be interesting just because I know Shamia is so close to Candy and Candy is very close to Rashida. So I don't know. We're going to talk about that in the second episode, and I'm hoping it kind of puts the pieces together for a lot of the audience and a lot of the women, because if I'm being honest, I already know what the tea is within that group. And then you add Tamar Braxton into it, you got a whole pot stew. Like, it is a messy dynamic in Atlanta. And that's why I say it's really hard to find a man in Atlanta that don't want to be on camera. Dennis McKinley shows up on camera every time he can to promote that hot dog factory. I think Atlanta is very small, but that was everything. Obviously, we watched Ultimate Girls Trip. I thought it was a really good premiere episode. I'm really excited to kind of get into that. I have to give it a couple of episodes to see if there's something I really want to recap. Everyone looked amazing. I think everyone that was chosen, obviously Nene Leakes' bag, seeing her in that first scene was amazing. Very disappointed to see she wasn't at the red carpet though for the premiere. So I'm like, is it giving just for ratings? But they had to put Nene on there. If you're not gonna have Kenya Moore on there, you're not gonna have Lisa Vanderpump on there, you gotta pull an OG. I think everyone that was selected for Ultimate Girls Trip in their respective shows, given the circumstance, should have happened. I think Portia was the right decision for Atlanta, Vicky obviously for OC, Kyle Richards for Beverly Hills, Giselle, even though people like to say, you guys know I don't like Giselle, but Giselle, they're like, what is something iconic Giselle has given us? Word on the street. We weren't using that before Giselle Bryant. We weren't. The streets are talking. We weren't saying the word on the street. And I think Giselle, we do got to give that to Giselle. Luann, obviously, for New York City, of course. And then, of course, Lisa Barlow for Salt Lake City. But yeah, I'm excited to watch Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip 20th anniversary. And yeah, until the next time, you guys, I'll see you soon. Bye.